The alarm screamed through the research vessel, like a dying animal. Hana's forearms trembled as she gripped her data pad, her compound eyes tracking the chaos in the corridor. Other Velthrians rushed past her, their chitinous bodies clicking and scraping against the metal walls. Someone was shouting orders, but the words dissolved into panic. All personnel to emergency pods. This is not a drill. Humans have boarded the ship. Humans. The words sent ice through Hana's blood. Every child in the Dominion grew up hearing stories about them. Violent, unpredictable, barely civilized creatures who had been restricted to their home system for good reason. They took prisoners and did terrible things to them. They didn't follow the rules of war. They were monsters wearing skin. Hana ran toward the evacuation zone, her feet slipping on the smooth floor. She was young, barely 3 cycles out of the academy. This was supposed to be a simple research mission, cataloging mineral deposits in the neutral zone. Nothing dangerous. Nothing that would attract attention. The lights flickered and died. Emergency red lighting bathed everything in blood color. Hana heard weapons fire somewhere below, screaming, then silence, which was somehow worse. She ducked into a side corridor, trying to remember the ship layout. The main evacuation area would be crowded, chaotic. Maybe she could find another way. Her breathing came fast and shallow, her secondary lungs working overtime to keep oxygen flowing. A hand grabbed her shoulder. Hana spun, raising her data pad like a weapon. A human stood before her, tall and broad, wearing dark armor that seemed to absorb the emergency lights. His face was covered by a helmet with a reflective visor. She couldn't see his eyes. Somehow that made it worse. She tried to run. His grip was like metal, holding her in place without effort. She opened her mandibles to scream, to call for help, but he moved his other hand, and she felt a sharp sting on her neck. Cold spread through her body. Her legs stopped working. The corridor tilted and spun. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was the human catching her as she fell, lowering her gently to the floor instead of letting her crash. It confused her. Why would a monster bother being gentle? When Hana woke, her head felt stuffed with cotton. She tried to move and found her limbs heavy, unresponsive. Panic flooded her system. She forced her eyes open, blinking against harsh white light. She was in a cell. Small, maybe 3 meters square, with smooth metal walls. A sleeping platform extended from one wall. In the corner, she saw what looked like a waste recycling unit, modified for Velthrian biology. How did they know her species requirements? The temperature was perfect. Not the cold that humans preferred, but the warm humidity her people needed. The air tasted right, the correct mixture of gases. Even the lighting had been adjusted to the spectrum comfortable for compound eyes. This didn't match the stories. Prisoners were kept in terrible conditions, weren't they? Frozen or overheated, struggling to breathe, kept in darkness or blinding light. This was almost ... considerate. The door was solid, no window. Hana pulled herself to her feet, testing her legs. The drug had worn off mostly, leaving only a faint dizziness. She explored the cell with her hands, looking for weaknesses, finding none. The walls were seamless. The door had no visible controls on this side. She sat on the platform and waited. Time passed strangely. She had no way to measure it. Her internal clock said maybe an hour. Maybe 3. The door opened with a soft hiss. The same human stood in the doorway. He'd removed his helmet. Hana's breath caught. She'd never seen a human face before, only pictures in training materials. Those pictures hadn't prepared her for the reality. His face was smooth, mostly, with dark hair falling across his forehead. His eyes were brown, with white around them, focusing on her with clear intelligence. His mouth was small compared to her mandibles, lips pressed into a neutral line. He looked young, maybe. She couldn't tell with aliens. He held a tray with food and water. Velthrian food. She could smell the nutrient paste, see the mineral supplements. How? He stepped into the cell slowly, movements careful and non-threatening. He set the tray on a small surface that extended from the wall, something Hannah hadn't noticed before. Then he stepped back toward the door. "Eat," he said. His voice came from a translator device on his collar. The Velthrian words were accented but clear. "You need strength. What do you want from me?" Hannah's voice came out as a clicking rasp. She hated how weak she sounded. The human looked at her for a long moment. "For you to eat. For you to rest. For you to stay calm. Why? What are you going to do?" He tilted his head slightly. "Keep you alive. The others. My crew. What did you do to them?" Something changed in his expression. His eyes darkened. "I couldn't save them. I'm sorry." The words hit her like physical blows. Her crew, Captain Vryn, who had mentored her, Researcher Thick, who made terrible jokes, Engineer Sass, who could fix anything. All of them. Dead. You killed them, she whispered. "No." The human's voice was flat. "But they're dead anyway." He turned and left before she could respond. The door closed with the same soft hiss, leaving her alone with food she couldn't imagine eating and questions that made her head hurt. Hannah sat in silence, trying to process what he'd said. "I couldn't save them. Not I killed them. Not we destroyed your ship. Couldn't save them." As if he'd tried. As if he'd wanted to dot. It didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. She looked at the food. Her body was hungry, even if her mind rejected the idea of eating. Slowly, she reached for the tray. The paste was fresh, the supplements properly prepared. Someone had taken care with this. Someone who understood Velthrian nutrition. She ate because she had to. Because staying alive meant maybe getting answers. Maybe finding out what really happened. Maybe understanding why a human monster was keeping her in a comfortable cell and feeding her proper food and looking at her with something that almost seemed like regret. Outside the cell, somewhere on this ship, the human was doing something. Planning something. And Hannah had no idea what, which terrified her more than any torture could have. She finished eating and lay down on the platform, staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. Every sound made her jump. Every vibration of the ship felt like a threat, but hours passed and nothing happened. No interrogation. No pain. Just silence and comfort and the slow, creeping realization that everything she'd been taught about humans might be wrong. That thought scared her most of all. 3 days passed in the cell. Hannah counted them by the meal deliveries, which came at regular intervals. The human brought them himself every time. He never spoke beyond basic instructions. Step back from the door. This is morning meal. Sleep cycle begins in 2 hours. His name, she learned from the translator's header signature, was Tay-1. She didn't know if that was a first name or last name or something else entirely. Human naming conventions weren't part of standard Velthrian education. The routine was strange. Tay-1 would enter, deliver food, check the environmental controls, and leave. Sometimes he carried a medical scanner, passing it over her body without touching her, reading data she couldn't see. He never explained, never answered her questions beyond the most basic acknowledgments. Where is this ship going? Away from the border. What will you do with me? Keep you healthy. Why won't you tell me anything? Silence. Then the door closing. It was maddening. Hannah had been trained to resist interrogation, to withstand torture, to maintain operational security under extreme stress. But this was nothing she'd prepared for. The isolation ate at her. The uncertainty was its own kind of torture. On the 4th day, Something changed. Tae-Won arrived with the usual meal, but this time he was followed by a shimmer of light. The shimmer resolved into a holographic figure, humanoid in shape, but clearly artificial. The projection showed a young human female with short hair and a slight smile. "Hello, Hana," the hologram said in perfect Velthrian. "My name is Jisoo. I'm the ship's artificial intelligence." Hana stared. An AI? Humans had advanced AI? The Dominion taught that human technology was crude, barely functional. Yet here was a hologram more sophisticated than anything on her research vessel. "I know you have questions," Jisoo continued. "Tae-Won isn't great at explanations. He's better at action than words. So I'm here to help." Tae-Won set down the meal tray and leaned against the wall, arms crossed. He didn't look at Hana, but he didn't leave either. "What do you want to know?" Jisoo asked. "Everything," Hana thought. "Why am I here? What happened to my ship?" Jisoo's expression became serious. "Your vessel, the Eternal Dawn, was infected with a parasitic organism. Codename Whisper 7. It's a biological weapon, highly contagious among Velthrians. The infection was detected by your own command structure approximately 6 hours before Tae-Won intercepted you." Hana's mandibles clicked in denial. "That's impossible. We would have been warned, evacuated. Would you like to see the transmission logs?" Jisoo asked gently. Before Hana could answer, a screen appeared on the cell wall. Text scrolled past, official Velthrian military code. Hana read quickly, her translator organs processing the formal language. Her blood went cold. The messages were clear. Command had detected the infection. They'd analyzed the spread rate. And they'd made a decision. The Eternal Dawn would be destroyed. All hands lost. Acceptable casualties to prevent potential pandemic. "No," Hana whispered. "They wouldn't. There are protocols. Quarantine procedures. The parasite adapts too quickly," Jisoo said. "Quarantine wouldn't work. Your command made the logical choice by their calculations. Then why am I alive?" Tae-Won spoke for the first time. "You were the only one still clean." The screen changed, showing bioscans. Hana recognized the signature patterns of her crewmates. Each one showed the infection markers, small at first but growing. Date stamps showed the progression. Then her own scan appeared, completely clean. "You were in the research lab," Jisoo explained. "Sealed environment. By the time the infection spread to that section, Tae-Won had already breached the hull. He scanned everyone he could reach. You were the only viable rescue." Hana's legs gave out. She sat hard on the platform. "You're lying. This is manipulation. Breaking me down psychologically before interrogation." Tae-Won pushed off the wall. He walked closer, stopping just outside her reach. "I don't need to break you. I don't want information. I don't want anything from you." "Then why?" "Because you deserved a choice," he said quietly. "Your government didn't give you one." "I could." The screen changed again, showing tactical data. A human ship approaching the Eternal Dawn. That was Tae-Won's vessel, Hana realized. She saw the timeline. Saw him board. Saw him moving through corridors, scanning, searching. Saw him find her dot, and saw the Velthrian military destroyer arrive. Saw it fire. Saw the Eternal Dawn break. Apart in blossoms of light, and Metal Dot Hana made a sound she'd never heard from her own throat before. A keening wail of grief and rage and disbelief. Her crew, her friends, gone in fire. Murdered by their own government. Tae-Won reached toward her, then stopped. His hand hung in the air for a moment before dropping. "I'm sorry. I tried to get more of them. But the infection spread faster than my scans could confirm safe targets. Why should I believe you?" Hana's voice was broken glass. Jisoo answered. You shouldn't. Not yet. But we can show you more. Records, patterns. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. What do you mean? The Dominion has protocols, Jisoo said. Acceptable loss thresholds. When the cost of saving lives exceeds the value assigned to those lives, the solution is termination. It happens across multiple species, multiple scenarios. We've been documenting it for 3 years. The screen filled with files. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Each one a case study in abandonment, execution, or manufactured accident. Different species. Different situations. The same pattern repeated endlessly. Hana couldn't look away. Each file was a knife. Each one showed the truth of the galaxy she'd believed in, stripped bare of propaganda and comfortable lies. Why are you showing me this? She asked finally. Because you asked what happened to your ship, Taewon said. This is what happened. This is what's been happening. And you needed to know. He turned toward the door. Jisoo's hologram flickered. Wait, Hana said. If everything you're showing me is true, if my government really did this, then what are you? Some kind of rebel? A terrorist? Taewon looked back at her. His expression was tired. I'm just someone who couldn't look away anymore. And me? What am I to you? A refugee? A prisoner? A project? A person who deserved to live, he said simply. The door opened. Taewon paused in the threshold. Jisoo will give you access to our archives. Read whatever you want. Learn what you need to learn. When you're ready, we'll talk about what comes next. What if I'm never ready? Then you're still welcome here until you are. He left. The door closed. Jisoo's hologram remained, patient and quiet. Hana looked at the screen full of files, at the evidence of systematic betrayal, at the truth she'd never wanted to see. Her whole body hurt. Her mind felt like it was tearing apart. Everything she'd believed, everything she'd built her identity on, was revealed as fiction. Can I really access all of this? She asked Jisoo. Everything. No restrictions. Even information about him? About Taewon? Even that. Hana reached toward the screen with a shaking hand. Then I want to know who he really is. Why he does this. What he wants. I think you'll find, Jisoo said gently, that he already told you the truth. He just wants people to have the choice to live. The files opened under Hana's touch, and she began to read. The ship docked with something larger. Hana felt the vibration through the walls, heard the clamps engage. She stood quickly, uncertain. Taewon hadn't told her they were arriving anywhere. The cell door opened. Taewon stood there with what might have been an apologetic expression. Hard to read on an alien face. We're here, he said. Where is here? Sanctuary. My base. You'll see. He didn't restrain her. Didn't even seem concerned she might attack him or run. Hana followed him through the corridor of his ship, taking in details she'd missed during her drugged capture. The vessel was small, designed for speed and stealth. Everything was functional, clean, well-maintained. Not what she'd expected from a pirate or terrorist. They passed through an airlock into a larger structure. The space beyond made Hana stop and stare. It was huge. A hollowed-out asteroid converted into a station. Walkways crisscrossed through open air. Structures clung to the rocky walls at different angles, taking advantage of varied gravity zones. And everywhere, absolutely everywhere, were people, not humans. Aliens. Dozens of different species moving through the space, talking, working, living. Hana saw Kelthians with their blue amphibious skin. Noticed a family of Drexens, their crystalline bodies chiming softly as they moved. Even spotted what looked like a Mordesh, one of the warrior species that supposedly never left their home system. What is this place? Hannah breathed. Home, a new voice said, for those who have nowhere else. A Kelthian approached them, moving with the characteristic fluid grace of her people. She was small, barely reaching Hannah's shoulder, with large dark eyes and webbed fingers. She smiled at Tae-Won with obvious affection. Hannah, this is Bora, Tae-Won said. She helps run things here. Run what, exactly? Hannah asked. The sanctuary, Bora said. Her Velthrian was better than Tae-Won's, only slightly accented. We're all refugees here. All people who were supposed to die, but didn't, thanks to him. She gestured at Tae-Won, who looked uncomfortable with the praise. I don't understand, Hannah said. You're running a refugee station? How? Why? Bora's smile faded. Come, I'll show you. They walked through the station. Bora explained as they went. Each person here had a story. The Drexen family had been on a colony ship that developed life support failures. Rather than rescue them, the company had written them off as a financial loss and ordered the ship destroyed to collect insurance. Tae-Won had intercepted the demolition crew. A group of Mordesh warriors had refused orders to massacre civilians during a political purge. Their own government had marked them for execution. Tae-Won had extracted them the night before the firing squad. On and on. Each story was different. Each one ended the same way. People deemed acceptable losses by their own governments, saved by a human who refused to accept that mathematics. But why? Hannah kept asking. Why would he risk this? Humans are restricted. If his government finds out, they know, Ora said quietly. Earth knows what he's doing. They can't officially support him, can't even acknowledge him. But they know. They reached a medical facility carved into the asteroid wall. Inside, Hannah saw more aliens receiving treatment. A human in medical gear looked up as they entered. Young Su, Tae-Won called. New patient for evaluation. The medic approached, carrying a scanner. He was older than Tae-Won, with gray touching his dark hair and smile lines around his eyes. Hello, Hannah, he said in accented but clear Velthrian. I'm going to run some tests. Make sure you're fully recovered from the sedative and check for any lingering infection traces. Is that acceptable? The question surprised her. Permission. He was asking permission. Yes, she managed. Young Su's examination was thorough but gentle. He explained each scan before running it, showed her the results, answered her questions with patience. When he finished, he smiled. You're completely healthy. No infection markers. No cellular damage. You got very lucky. Lucky, Hannah repeated. The word felt wrong. Her crew was dead. How was she lucky? Young Su seemed to understand. His smile faded into something more sympathetic. Lucky you're alive. I know that doesn't erase the grief. But life is still worth something. He pulled up a holographic display, showing her genetic code. Look at this. See these markers? Hannah looked, saw patterns she recognized from her academy training. Genetic engineering signatures. You were modified, Young Su said, specifically for parasite resistance. Someone designed you to survive Whisper 7 infection. The words didn't make sense at first. Then they did, and Hannah wished they hadn't. They created it, she whispered. My own government. They created the parasite, and they created me to resist it. We were a test. We believe so, Young Su said gently. We've seen this pattern before. Engineered crisis. Controlled population. Data collection. Then elimination of evidence. My crew weren't evidence. They were people. To you, yes. To the people who designed this experiment, they were acceptable losses. Hannah's legs wouldn't hold her. She sat hard on the examination table. Bora moved closer, not touching but offering presents. How many? Hannah asked. How many times has this happened? Young Su and Tae-Won exchanged looks. Young Su pulled up more files on the display. Hundreds of cases. Thousands. Spanning decades. Multiple species. All following similar patterns. The Dominion operates on triage principles, Bora explained. They always have. Some lives matter less than others. Some experiments are worth the cost. Some problems are solved by elimination rather than treatment. And humans? Hannah looked at Tae-Won. Where do they fit in this? We refuse to participate, Tae-Won said. His voice was flat. The Dominion approached Earth 50 years ago, offered us full membership, access to trade routes, technology, all of it, in exchange for following their protocols. Which protocols? Acceptable loss protocols, population management, strategic elimination, all the policies you're seeing in these files. Young Su picked up the story. Humanity looked at the deal, looked at what it required, said no. The Dominion didn't like that answer, so they restricted us, quarantined Earth, spread propaganda about how dangerous we are. Are you? Hannah asked. Dangerous? Tae-Won smiled, but it wasn't happy. We're dangerous to systems that require acceptable losses, because we don't accept them. Bora touched Hannah's arm gently. Come, let me show you where you'll stay. Give you time to process all this. Hannah let herself be led through more corridors, into a small room with a proper bed, climate controls, personal space. It was simple but comfortable. Nothing like the cell on the ship. You're not a prisoner here, Bora said. You're a survivor. Like all of us. Take your time. Learn what you need to learn. When you're ready, you can decide what comes next. What if I want to leave? Then we'll help you leave. Give you resources. Get you somewhere safe. Bora smiled sadly. Though I should warn you, safe is complicated when your own government wants you dead. After Bora left, Hannah sat on the bed and tried to understand her new reality. She was alive because Tae-Won had broken laws to save her. Her crew was dead because her government had decided they weren't worth saving. Everything she'd believed about humans was propaganda. Everything she'd believed about the Dominion was lies. She thought about the stories from her childhood. Human monsters who took prisoners and did terrible things. She looked around her clean, comfortable room, thought about Young Su's gentle examination, Bora's kindness, Tae-Won's quiet determination to keep her alive, not the terrible thing they'd done, she realized, was show her the truth, and that changed everything. The alarm woke Hannah from restless sleep. Not the gentle wake cycle tone she'd grown used to over the past week. This was urgent, sharp, designed to get people moving fast. She stumbled out of her room into corridors filled with controlled chaos. People moved with purpose, no panic but clear urgency. Bora appeared beside her. What's happening? Hannah asked. Dominion enforcement. They found us. Hannah's blood went cold. How? Does it matter? Bora pulled her toward the central hub. Come, emergency meeting. The hub was packed with people. Hannah recognized faces now. The Drexen family clustered together, their crystalline bodies humming with anxiety. A group of Mordesh warriors stood ready, hands on weapons they probably shouldn't have had. Young Su was checking medical supplies, preparing for casualties. Tae-1 stood at the center, studying a holographic display of the space around the station. Red markers showed ships. A lot of ships. Dominion enforcement fleet, he was saying. 12 vessels. They're demanding we surrender all refugees for processing. Processing, someone spat. They mean execution. I know what they mean, Tae-Won said calmly. That's not happening. We can't fight 12 ships, a Mordish warrior said. I've analyzed the tactical situation. We'd last maybe 10 minutes. Then we don't fight. We negotiate. Negotiate what? They don't negotiate with acceptable losses. A new hologram flickered to life. A figure appeared, imposing and cold. He wore Dominion enforcement uniform, all sharp angles and authority. His species was Gravian, tall and pale with dark eyes that seemed to absorb light. Attention illegal sanctuary designated as Target 7, the figure said. I am Commandant Sevik. You are harboring contaminated and criminal specimens in violation of Dominion, health and security protocols. Surrender all specimens within 1 standard hour, or this facility will be destroyed. You have no other options. The transmission ended. Silence filled the hub. Contaminated, Hana whispered. Is that what we are now? Tay-1 turned to face the crowd. Listen to me. All of you. You're not specimens. You're not contaminated. You're people who deserve to live and were denied that right by systems that failed you. Pretty words don't stop warships, someone said. No, but truth might. What truth? Bora asked. Tay-1 looked at Hana. You asked me why I do this. Why I risk everything. I never gave you the full answer. He pulled up new files on the display. Images appeared. A younger Tay-1 in military uniform, standing with other humans. All of them looked proud, hopeful. 6 years ago, Earth was offered a deal, Tay-1 said. Limited Dominion membership. We could send peacekeeping forces outside Sol System for the first time. A chance to prove ourselves. We jumped at it. The images changed. Showed a facility, dark and terrible. Cells filled with aliens in various states of suffering. My unit was assigned to the Kelthian border zone, Tay-1 continued. We found something we weren't supposed to find. A Dominion research facility. Black site. Thousands of specimens being tested on. Experimental diseases. Weapons. Psychological warfare programs. Hannah felt sick. The images kept coming. She recognized some of the species. Saw children among the test subjects. Saw things that would haunt her forever. We reported it up the chain, Tay-1 said. Asked for orders. Expected immediate rescue operations. Instead, we got ordered to stand down. Forget what we saw. Move to next assignment. We refused, a voice said. Hana turned to see Young Su stepping forward. 20 of us. We voted and we refused. Young Su had been there. Had been part of this. The Dominion gave Earth an ultimatum, Young Su continued. Control your people or face total embargo. Complete restriction. No trade, no technology transfer. Total isolation. Earth had just gotten a taste of the larger galaxy. The government wasn't ready to give that up, so they ordered us to comply, Tay-1 said quietly. Ordered us to abandon those people. Threatened court-martial. Threatened our families. Made it very clear what would happen if we disobeyed. We disobeyed anyway, Young Su said. Stormed the facility. Freed everyone we could. Got about 2,000 people out before the Dominion response force arrived. The images changed again. Showed a battle. Ships exploding. Bodies in space. Hana's hands trembled as she watched. 15 of us died in the escape, Tay-1 said. The rest scattered. Some made it back to Earth. Some didn't. I ended up here with the refugees we'd saved, trying to figure out what came next. The Dominion demanded we be arrested and returned for trial, Young Su added. Earth refused. Finally found a spine. But they also couldn't officially support us. Couldn't acknowledge what we'd done. So we're exiles. Can't go home. Can't stop trying to save others. Hannah understood now. Tae-Won hadn't just risked his career or his freedom. He'd given up his world, his family, his entire future, for strangers, for people his own government told him weren't worth saving. Why tell us this now? Bora asked. Because I need you to understand what I'm about to propose, Tae-Won said. I've been hiding, protecting you through secrecy. But Sevek found us anyway. Hiding doesn't work forever. What's the alternative? Tae-Won looked at Hana again. Tell the truth. All of it. Show the galaxy what the Dominion really is. Hannah's mind raced. You mean broadcast the archives? Everything you've documented. Everything. Every case file. Every piece of evidence. Every testimony. Send it to every public network across every member system simultaneously. That would cause chaos, the Mordish warrior said. Yes, Tae-Won agreed. It would. Governments would scramble to suppress it. Some would deny. Some would try to bury it. But some wouldn't. And the people seeing it, the citizens, they'd know. Truth is hard to unsee once you've seen it. It could also provoke war, someone said. Species turning on each other. The Dominion fracturing. Maybe, or maybe it changes things. Forces accountability. Makes acceptable losses unacceptable. Or it changes nothing, and we all die having accomplished nothing. Another voice said. Silence fell. Hana could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on everyone. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about whether to fight back, whether the truth was worth dying for. Vote, Bora said quietly. That's how we do things here. We vote, Tae-Won nodded. All in favor of broadcasting the archives, knowing it might not change anything and will definitely paint a target on us. Hands raised, slowly at first, then more. Hannah found her own hand rising before she consciously decided. Around the room, most of the refugees voted yes. We've been hiding long enough, the Drexen father said. Our children deserve to grow up in a galaxy that knows the truth. Then we broadcast, Tae-Won said. Jisoo, prepare the files. Target every major network. Government, public, private, everything. The AI's voice filled the space. Preparing broadcast package. This will take approximately 30 minutes. Commandant Sevek will likely attack before we finish. Then we buy time. I'll talk to him. Tae-Won opened a channel. Sevek's face appeared again, cold and certain. Have you decided to surrender? I've decided to give you a choice, Kai-Wan said. Stand down and leave or become part of the biggest truth reveal in Dominion history. Sevek's expression didn't change. You're bluffing, am I? Want to test that? You have 45 minutes, Sevek said. Then we open fire whether you surrender or not. The channel closed. Tae-Won looked at his people. 45 minutes. Let's make them count. The countdown timer showed 32 minutes remaining. Hannah worked alongside Bora, helping organize data packets. Her training as a researcher made her useful here. She understood file compression, data verification, transmission protocols. Strange how her government had trained her for exactly the skills she now used against them. Around her, others prepared in their own ways. The Mordish warriors checked defensive positions, not because they could win a fight, but because they refused to die without trying. Young Su prepped medical stations for casualties. Parents held their children close. I've been thinking about your plan, Hana said to Bora. Even if we broadcast everything, even if people see it, why would they believe it? They'll call it fake, propaganda. Probably, Bora agreed. But some won't. Some will investigate. Some will recognize their own stories in our files. Truth spreads differently than lies. Slower sometimes, but deeper. The display showed Jisoo's progress. 70% compiled. The AI was sorting through years of documentation, organizing it for maximum impact. Testimony from refugees. Intercepted government communications. Medical records. Financial transactions. Everything that proved the pattern of acceptable losses. 20 minutes. Tae-won called out. How are we doing, Jisoo? 90%. I need 12 more minutes. Sevik won't give us 12 minutes. Then make him. Hana moved to Tae-won's side. I have an idea. Let me talk to him. Why would he listen to you? Because I'm Velthrian. Because I'm supposed to be dead. Because I'm proof. Tae-won studied her face. He'll try to use you. Twist what you say. Let him try. Tae-won nodded slowly. Open a channel. Visual. Hana stepped into frame as Sevik's face appeared. The commandant's expression shifted slightly when he saw her. Surprise, maybe. She was an unexpected variable. I am Hana, Research Assistant 3rd Class, formerly of the Velthrian vessel Eternal Dawn, she said formally. I wish to negotiate terms. There are no terms, Sevik said. Only compliance or destruction. Then let me ask you something, Commandant. Do you know what happened to my ship? Your vessel was destroyed due to contamination protocols. Standard procedure. Standard procedure that infected us deliberately? Standard procedure that engineered one survivor to study? Standard procedure that murdered my entire crew to hide the experiment? Sevik's face remained neutral, but Hana saw something flicker in his eyes. Knowledge. He knew. Maybe not the details, but the pattern. You make serious accusations, he said. I make documented accusations. With proof. Medical scans. Communication logs. Genetic analysis showing deliberate modification. All of it about to be broadcast across the entire Dominion. Lies can be fabricated. Can they? Can you fabricate the genetic markers in my blood? Can you fake the transmission codes from Velthrian High Command? How many lies can you maintain when millions of people start asking questions? You're attempting to delay me. It won't work. I'm attempting to give you context. In 10 minutes, everything we've documented goes public. Every case of acceptable losses. Every government that chose execution over rescue. Every lie told to maintain the system. That includes your own missions. Commandant, how many facilities have you destroyed? How many specimens have you eliminated? Sevik's expression hardened. I follow orders. So did the people who infected my ship. So did the people who killed my crew. Orders don't erase responsibility. 5 minutes, Jisoo's voice said quietly. Sevik heard it. Your broadcast won't make a difference. The Dominion has weathered scandals before. Not like this, Hana said. Not with this much proof. Not with this many voices. You can destroy this station, Commandant. You can kill all of us. But the truth launches in 4 minutes. And killing us just makes it more credible. Something changed in Sevik's face. Calculation. He was weighing options. 3 minutes, Jisoo announced. Stand down. A new voice cut in. A different transmission, overriding Sevik's channel. The face that appeared was human, female, older, with gray hair and sharp eyes. Ambassador Dae-yoon, Tae-won said quietly. Hello, Tae-won. It's been a long time. You're not supposed to contact me. Diplomatic protocols. Protocols are about to become very flexible, Dae-yoon said. I'm watching your broadcast package assemble. It's impressive. Also deeply problematic for about 50 governments. That's the point. I know. Earth's position is this. We can't stop you. Won't stop you. But we also can't officially support you until after the broadcast goes live. Once it does, the political landscape changes. We'll have options we don't have now. 2 minutes. Jisoo said. Dayun looked at Sevik's feed. Commandant, you should know that Earth's entire diplomatic corps is currently recording this moment. If you destroy that station in the next 90 seconds, before the broadcast launches, you'll be firing on refugees under pending human protection. That's an act of war. They're not under human protection, Sevik said. They will be in 90 seconds. We're moving fast. You're bluffing. Am I? Earth just spent 50 years restricted and isolated. We've had nothing to lose for half a century. Do you really think we're afraid of consequences now? 1 minute, Jisoo announced. Hannah watched Sevik's face. Saw him calculating odds, weighing outcomes. He was a career officer, good at following orders, but also good at understanding when orders became impossible. 30 seconds. Last chance, Commandant, Dayun said. Stand down and let the political process handle this, or open fire and start something you can't control. 10 seconds. The hub was silent. Everyone watched the countdown. Hannah found herself holding Bora's hand without remembering reaching for it. Tae-1 stood perfectly still, face unreadable. 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting. The display exploded with status reports. Data packets launching to thousands of destinations simultaneously. Government networks. Public news feeds. Private channels. Entertainment systems. Everything Jisoo could reach, she flooded with information. Across the galaxy. Trillions of beings suddenly received the same massive data dump. The complete archives. Every case file. Every piece of evidence. Every testimony. Years of documentation, impossible to ignore or suppress completely. Sevik's face showed the moment he received the flood. Saw his own missions listed. Saw his name in reports. Saw everything that had been hidden suddenly exposed. You've made a terrible mistake, he said quietly. Maybe, Tae-1 said. Or maybe we've finally done something right. Sevik's transmission cut off. His fleet held position. Minutes passed. Then hours. The ships didn't fire. Didn't advance. Just waited while the galaxy caught fire with revelation. Reports started flooding in. Government denials. Independent investigations launched. Media organizations scrambling to verify. Citizen groups organizing. The reaction was chaos, exactly as predicted. But also change. Small at first. A Velthrian senator demanding answers about the eternal dawn. A Kelthian news outlet confirming details of abandoned colonies. A Drexen court opening investigations. Not everywhere. Not everyone. But enough. 3 days later, Ambassador Gayun's face appeared again on the display. The political situation is fluid, she said. Multiple governments are in crisis. The Dominion Council is debating emergency sessions. And Earth has made a decision. Which is? Tae-1 asked. We're offering sanctuary. Official sanctuary. To you, to the refugees, to anyone who needs it. We're establishing a new colony world outside Dominion jurisdiction. Independent. Protected by human fleet presence. You'd risk war for us? We're risking war anyway. Might as well make it mean something. Dayun smiled slightly. Besides, we've missed having you around. Earth could use someone with your particular talents. Tae-1 was quiet for a long moment. I can't go back. Not after everything. Not to Earth, no. But the colony is new. No history yet. You could help build it. All of you could. Hannah stepped forward. What about those of us who want to go home? Face our governments. Testify. Guillaume's expression became serious. That's dangerous. Some governments are looking for scapegoats. Witnesses who might disappear. I know. But someone has to speak. Someone who was there. Who survived. Who can look them in the face and say this happened to me. You understand you might not survive that testimony? I survived when I wasn't supposed to. Maybe that was for a reason. Bora squeezed her hand. You don't have to do this. I know. But I want to. My crew deserves someone to speak for them. Tae-Won looked at her with something like respect. If you go, you'll need support, protection, resources. Will you help me? Yes, but then I'm taking everyone else somewhere safe. Somewhere they can live without hiding. Without fear? A colony? If they'll have us. Over the next weeks, choices were made. Some refugees chose the colony, ready to build new lives in a place without history of betrayal. Some, like Hana, chose to return home, to face governments and testify and fight for change from inside broken systems. Young Su stayed with Tae-Won. Someone has to keep you from getting killed, doing something noble and stupid, he said. Bora chose the colony. I've hidden long enough. Time to live in the open. The day Hana left for Velthrian space, Tae-Won walked her to the transport. Thank you, she said, for everything. For giving me a choice when no one else would. You gave yourself the choice. I just provided the opportunity. That's more than my own government gave me. He smiled, that slight expression she'd learned to read. Be careful. Be smart. And if you need us, call. Humans are good at dramatic rescues. I noticed. She boarded the transport, looked back once to see him standing there, surrounded by the people he'd saved, ready to lead them somewhere new. A human who'd given up, everything to prove that some lives were worth more than calculations could measure. The transport lifted off. Below, the station grew smaller. Ahead, Velthrian space waited, with courts and questions and possibly her own death. Hana wasn't afraid. She'd already died once, on the Eternal Dawn. Everything after that was borrowed time, and she intended to use it well. The truth was strange, yes. Stranger than any nightmare about human monsters. But it was also beautiful, in its way. Beautiful that someone had cared enough to save her. That somewhere in the cold mathematics of acceptable losses, humans had simply refused to accept. She'd expected suffering. She'd gotten something far stranger. She'd gotten hope.